All right, everybody, away we go. Welcome to today's call. It is Thursday, October 17th of 2019, and this is the TRC Mastermind call. I am in the thick of what's known as a bomb cyclone. So if you see me look to the left or right, that means there's a 100-mile-an-hour gust of wind sequestered in my house. Office is without power. We had the craziest weather you've ever seen, no warning, and it was like literally being in the thick of a hurricane. Had a car flood out front, thought the house was going to float away, but here I am, ready to rock and roll, okay? So I wanted to just give you a little preamble into what I was learning from somebody else and another business, the website business that I have with Eric. We have a meeting every Wednesday, and what we call that is our alignment meeting. And I thought that was a really good concept, to have something get back in alignment, or that we were in alignment. And so I was listening to Super Fast Business with James Schramko, his podcast, and he was talking to some guy who spends a lot of time growing businesses, and that's been a big topic of conversation here, growing a business. And the number one thing to that is alignment. With what? With what is the business, right? So there's a lot of debate going on about what a business is, and especially after TRC Live, the idea is that we have this business that is growing, right? Hang on one second. Did I forget to get the go-to-meeting going? Hang on one second. Let me pop that going here. My bad. Like I said, a little thrown off by the storm, trying to keep my eyes open so I don't float away. But ultimately, I thought it was really good to listen to somebody whose main job is to step into businesses and grow them. Okay, it's really important to understand that this is about growth of something. Now, where you are on the continuum of growth is all different, right? We have a couple of people that are savvy people that moved, and they're starting that business all over again. So it's the solo show. Then that solo show grows into this on this business growth continuum. That solo show becoming leveraged with a telemarketer, long-term follow-up, closing coordination company, marketing systems. All that continuum begins to leverage the core. And this new concept of team, meaning the individual who starts, doing it all alone, leveraged, and then they hire people and they make better systems, that allows the third tier where you're allowed to see into expansion with opening up a whole other tier of business with agents. So there's sort of this continuum of growth. But along that way, there's nobody in this group or in this business, even if they're brand new, that can neglect the vision of what a real estate agency is. So even if it's just you alone, you with leverage in some people, and then this thing with other people doing what you do, AKA agents, you can't just dismiss that. You have to understand that that's the way the business works, and you just have to put yourself on that continuum of growth and say, where am I and where am I going on that? Because you can't be in this business and just decide to cherry pick it. That's the way it is. Now, you might decide along that continuum that you're very contented to grow from being solo into solo leverage with people, but not really endeavor to go bigger. I get it that you might like that. I don't think it's safe. I think what's not expanding is contracting. And I think you should always be going into at least some version of a boutique. Okay. Now, a lot of you that own your own brokerage have been invited into what will be a once-a-month discussion about expansion through people that are agents. But everybody is in this first one where we take a look at all of this, like your solo or your solo leverage. Everybody in here needs to do that. And the leverage solo needs to be focused on pursuing listings. Because at the very core of any great growth of an agency is the control and command over the acquisition of listings that are definitely at or above the average and the median in the area you cover, okay? So there's the narrative that nobody can escape. Not this group, not outside of it. It's immutable, that discussion, meaning it's really quite unbendable. That's fact. So what I want to do today, though, is say, no matter where you're at in that continuum, I'm going to ask a few of you to play this game that this guy was playing on this podcast, which was, what are the 5 things or so that you're working on right now? And then once those get on the table, I'll play a little second part of the game. So that I'm not going to reveal where I'm going. I'm just going to play that game a little bit. What are the 5 or so things that you're working on? If you can get to 2 or 3 and that's all you can name, that's fine too. This is not like pressured out. But I just want to get us to the point where you say, what are you working on? Okay? So here we go. Let me pick on somebody. Egan, Tanyelle, I'll take you first and then Charlie Egan next, okay? Because you guys are albeit solo, you're working, on certain things, right? So a little bit differently. Tanyelle, I'll put you in the hot seat, okay? You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. So again, the top 5 things that you're working on, what would they be? Just think out loud. This is not, you don't lose this. You don't lose any money in this game, okay? It's called inventory. We just did it at the conference. We took inventory. We're going to do it here. What are the things you're working on?
I'm working on expired. I'm working on recruiting.
Okay.
I'm working on my sphere.
Okay.
And I'm working on myself.
Okay. Love the last one. Okay. Excellent. Charlie Egan, you with me?
Yeah.
Top 5 things you're working on. Charlie.
Okay.
Come on, buddy.
I'm here, Danny.
Tune in, bud.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay. I'm working on expireds. I'm working on especially after I get the package out to them, following up the conversation and getting out to see the property.
Okay.
I'm working on my database in terms of setting up the tasks that I see each day that I have to do in the CRM that I just started.
Good.
I'm working on the end of this year to set up properties, listings that people will be selling in the first of the next quarter.
Okay.
And I'm working on my mindset and abundance and the gremlins that sometimes come up about my business and trying to put those to rest.
Cool. All right. That was 4. I'll take them. Anybody want to volunteer? I'm going to go back to the list and pick you. Will Daly, play my game with me. And then I'm going to guess that's Lindsay.
Okay, Danny.
Okay. Gail, hang on. Will Daly, play my game with me, will you?
I'm here.
Okay, buddy. Go ahead. Top 5 things you're working on, then Lindsay next, then we'll go to Gail. Go ahead.
Getting a second telemarketer.
Cool.
Working expireds. Working on expansion. And I think that's it right now. I mean, we're still doing SOI, but I'm not putting a ton of time into it.
Okay, I'll take it. Lindsay, awesome. Thank you, Will. Lindsay, go ahead.
Here.
Go ahead. Roll it. Top 5.
I am working on telemarketing, building the business, bringing on agents, probates, getting the packets for probates, and I think that's it right now.
Okay, I'll take it. Gail, go ahead.
Okay, Dan. All right, so Danny, I'm working on a tagline. The one Story brand book.
Got it.
He talked about that, and I'm working on it. I think it's 2 sentences in my vision, but I'm going to work on that and make it so that it'll be all over the place, just like he spoke about. I just finished that book, and that last chapter was excellent. He just brought it all together.
Cool.
Then I'm working on agents and signing them up like crazy.
Yeah.
And I created a new signing commitment letter that I sent to everybody, and I refined it so that everyone signs it, because it says in there, if you don't want to continue with the training or with Rossetti Realty, you can just email me. So they go, well, I just might as well sign it and see if I want to go for it. So I'm happy about that. And of course, we're always working on expired and probates, and I'm working on myself and always reading and doing affirmations and writing goals.
Awesome. Okay, good. Thank you for your list. You just joined me, Doug. You just joined me. Let's see, Fahad. Fahad, I'll take you next. Top 5 things you're working on, and I know it's okay because you have the mortgage business too. It would be okay to reference any of that too. Top 5 things.
Yeah, so I'm here. Can you repeat the question real quick?
Sure. Top 5 things you're working on. Top 5 things you're working on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm working on building out. Well, obviously the mortgage business. I'm working on building out a social media presence because I have none.
Okay, good.
Other than LinkedIn, and I'm working on cleaning up my database.
Okay.
So cleaning up my database. I'm working on figuring out what's in Infusionsoft and kind of cleaning that up. I think that's separate from database because those are like campaigns. That's 2. And then, and the third one was the social media presence and all of that. And then the 4th thing is on content, further content development with Writers Access and getting blog posts put out. That's the 4th thing. And then the 5th thing is more focusing on actual follow-up with leads.
Awesome. Good stuff.
I've been lacking on that.
All right, Chris Egan, I think you came in too late. Top 5 things that you're working on. Rattle them off, just the top of your head. And then Doug, you can go. Is that Chris that's in there? Chris Egan or Allison? One of you?
I'll go. I'll go.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So, website.
Okay.
Getting that together.
Yeah.
Action plans within Infusionsoft and social media posts.
Awesome.
That's all I got.
I'll take them though.
I'm not going to 5.
No, I'll take it. It's nice and tight. If that's what you feel, that's what you feel. Chris Egan, another call to action for you. Allison Egan, it's one of you guys just came in. Top 5 things you're working on. All right. I'm going to boot them off the call. Watch that. Let's see what that does. All right. Participation matters to me today. Got a slow start to this group here. Tommy Turner, anything you want to add towards what Lindsay said? She had telemarketing, agents, probates. Anything in particular bubble up for you?
Nope. She's got it pretty well covered, I think.
Good. I would agree. Okay. Awesome. All right. Let's grab this chunk here and let's roll with this. Okay. What I'm trying to do, and the reason I kind of muscle my way through that is I'm trying to move you all along to see if there's a common theme, right? Again, if there is such thing as the way that the business really works, if there is such a thing that there's a franchise prototype, then there should be some commonality to these 5 things, unless you're off in the poppy fields talking to yourself, right? And that's what I was thinking that maybe this could prove. And it would give me an inventory to say, is this body of work actually showing people that there is something that's safer that we can experience together? So there wasn't, Fahad has, a start in the mortgage business more so, but you can see the crossover because we also have, people in this group that are in the wholesale business, and the crossover is unbelievably similar. So what I'm beginning to see is that there's no difference from business to business. There are certain things that are there. And you can tell by somebody's evolution, the micro discussion. Like Gail, for example, she got into tagline, which is that statement that Duran was wrestling with at the conference. It's that statement that sums up what this business is all about, the story of us, right? What it is that we offer. But that's a vision, right? That summarizes, hopefully, if you can condense it, the business in its entirety. So when you look at the model, which I will put back up, here in a second, when you look at the model that we think Michael Gerber, well, first of all, he signed my copy of it, so he liked it when he saw it. This is the depiction of using his model for simplification of small business in the context of real estate that there's really no getting away from if you just take the way that this business works. So now you have this vision. And we talked about this at the conference, right? Which I think I also, let me see if I have that up here, was the definition of what a vision is. And the question is, are we in line with that, right? That's the key. Let me see if this is the right one. Yeah. So here it is. This is sort of the fill in the blank version, and I don't even have the answers in front of me, but I can tell you a company must recognize its core competencies and stick with doing that, right? I mean, that's what it really is a company must recognize its core competencies. So what's interesting is the word expired came up a lot, probably because, we've talked a lot tactically about that. But as part of this vision, Gail, go for this for a second. I'm going to try to write this down. Take a stab at the vision statements that's simple in your own narrative. It doesn't have to be some diatribe. It needs to just describe this business that's what we think is world class, which means what? It's franchise, right? So how do you describe that?
Well, Danny, I have a vision. You know that I have a vision,
Yep.
And it's laid out. I'm trying to find it. It's about 10 paragraphs, and in that 10 paragraphs that I created with eMyth Coach, in that 10 paragraphs, there's the part where I say we put our clients first, and this is I can't find it right now for some reason.
Gail, I actually don't want the whole thing. Gail, I don't want the whole thing. I want you to try to chunk it up.
I'm not giving you the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm giving you a sentence. Okay, so the sentence goes, we put our clients first because and this enables us to assist them in attaining their goals by following our strategic plan, something like that.
Okay.
And that's the thing that I'm messing with.
Okay, cool.
So
what we've defined in the past, I put it up on the screen here from the booklet. What we've done over the past 7 years is we've tried to chunk up one statement that everybody could kind of roll with, right? A world-class real estate agent business is a franchise prototype model based on scalable systems that create predictability and sustainability regardless of the circumstances, meaning external circumstances, or many of you mentioned your own head stuff.
Are you saying that's the tagline?
I don't know. I'm trying to say, like,
well, that's too much. That's too. It doesn't. People they don't get it.
I'm not. Hold on. No, I'm not saying that. Then I'm not saying it's the tagline.
Oh.
I'm saying it's the vision for us. This is internal.
Got it.
The internal work here is: are we trying to get after this? Will, what do you think? I mean, is that because you mentioned expansion? So, what does that? What do those words mean to you or anybody else in this group? What do they mean? Does it feel attainable? Does that feel like English?
Sorry, I couldn't get unmuted.
Danny?
Yeah, I think it's attainable.
Okay, cool. Yeah, go ahead, Tanya. Is that you?
I was just going to say that I've been listening to this audiobook by Simon Sinek, Start With Why.
Yep.
And it's making me look at and reevaluate the what, because I feel like, during the mastermind, we're talking about the what, but we're not starting with the why. And so I'm starting to really look at my message and saying, am I leading with why?
All right.
I feel like I'm missing there.
Okay, cool. I have a really simple why that I did a long time ago that applies to this and everything else for me. Maybe it'll help you. The why for me is because I need to be a person for others. It's a very, very deep need that I have, that the hierarchy of needs says if I'm going to self-actualize in my lifetime, I need to help as many people as possible. So now if I just put that in the context of business, the why the Griffin Realty Group exists, the why the Realty Classroom exists, is to help as many people as I can. And it happens to be in the context of real estate. Now you go to how. So for me, it's pretty simple. I didn't make I'm very familiar with Simon. I'm very familiar with where he goes. I think sometimes he backs into it. I don't know that people can state that. But I think, when you are the leader, the founder, it's very much about how you see the world. Doug, you're good at that. Winters, you're good at having that discussion, the way that we see the world. I see the world as an opportunity to help as many people if I want to feel self-actualized. So for me, it's that simple. I don't think why is this big esoteric thing. I think it's at the core of who you are.
So do you feel like communicating that is something that's important, in this message that as we're talking about the what, or do you feel like it's subordinate to it?
First of all, I think it underlies everything. I think it permeates everything that you do. I don't think it's explicitly stated. So how in the world, see, the problem is we get too esoteric very quickly. For me, I'm a very practical guy. Like I was talking to Duran on his one-on-one yesterday, and we talked about cash. Is this a business that cash flows or not, period? And everything that gets in the way of that is too squishy. So the nice thing about having people in this group, especially me that can turn on his black and white very fast, my question is black or white. Is it cash flowing or is it not? It's one thing to want to be a person for others, but I can't afford to do that in a business that loses money. So now I switch very quickly from a more global touchy-feely, I want to be a person for others, to an extremely clear definition that if I'm going to do it in real estate, I better follow a franchise prototype model. Why? Because that is based on systems that will prevent me from being the problem. And you heard multiple people, Gail mentioned it, Egan mentioned it, Tanyelle mentioned it, several people came right out and said me as one of the things I'm working on. Well, one of the things that helps you stay away from being the problem in business is a franchise prototype model. Well, what is that? Well, that means it's a business based on scalable systems, okay? Those systems are what prevent you from becoming the problem. In other words, if I have a checklisted system, okay, just a simple checklist, I don't need software, I just need a checklist, all of a sudden, the burden of working on myself lessens because I'm not getting in the way of overthinking and letting the gremlins, like Charlie said, get in the way. I'm simply following A to Z, and I either did it or I didn't. So my animal brain sees I had A to Z to go through, and I either did or I did not. So a franchise prototype model based on scalable systems sees us out in that continuum someday having this much bigger thing that's predictable and sustainable no matter what the heck happens externally or internally between my ears. It's this group's work over 7 years sort of hammered that away. I'm always open to hammering it into less, but I thought that was pretty good to say why I do any of this, now. How? Here's my first step. And then when I go to the conferences or I go on these calls, behind the scenes are the key points. Okay, so the how I do that, well, why? Why did we come up with that? Because you all should be critical thinkers, challenging that in your head, challenging me, saying, well, that's bullshit. It's this or that is that. Well, I say, okay, well, look, you can do the homework that I've done and synthesize for the group. I've read many times the E-Myth brokerage, okay? The E-Myth brokerage, not the E-Myth, but the E-Myth brokerage. I have that on audio, good to great. Those are things that talk about how to grow a successful business. There's many others, but I found for small businesses, those things were good. So I extracted from those supporting key points to that definition. Remember, the definition that Gerber says, he's the one that uses world class. That many companies, including Apple, quote unquote, picked a fight with somebody that was world class. They picked a big fight in their industry. So for example, Tanyelle, Apple, when it was a seedling, no pun intended, was picking a fight with IBM. See what I'm saying? They were picking a fight with IBM. It's very clear in the book because Tom Watson says that, right? Or Tom Watson says he set a standard, and then Guy Kawasaki, who was one of the original guys at Apple, was talking about picking a fight. So it's always picking a fight with some kind of world-class idea, but you have to give it some framework. Otherwise, this is a theoretical discussion. See, this group is extremely pragmatic. It leads to money or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, it gets killed at the stake here in front of you by me or you all, right? So the how goes deeper into the key points. Words like core competency, that becomes part of what Gail is trying to get, right? What is the core competency? And we can share it in this group. It's not this burden. You all think it's a creative moment where it has to be different from what each one of us says. Why? If it's a franchise prototype, why can't it be like McDonald's, fast and convenient food at a great price? That's all that is, fast and convenient food at a great price. That's a core competency. For us, it's a very simple plan to buy or sell, or an expansion mode to become an agent. A very simple plan to buy or sell. That's a core competency, I believe, that we all share. Would you agree or not, Tanya? Stay in the hot seat with me.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So, see, what I'm saying is this creative mind, every one of us, so smart that we are, we want to be so creatively unique that we will fight a franchise prototype. You will want it to be yours. You will take the 5 steps, the 6 steps and make them 5. You'll take the 6 and you'll go deeper. It allows for that still if you want to make it yours. But at the very core foundation, if you start to screw with the bone structure, next thing you know, you have no hip bone and you keep falling over to the left. So that's what I'm trying to keep here, is there's got to be some core foundational stuff that we recognize as common to us, and we execute. So every day that you wake up and you are not slow and steadily build. Hey guys, someone's got an echo there. If you're not slow and steadily building this, Tanyel, okay, like all these smart people say, and you're not leaving a footprint. Remember, I always say to you all, did you memorialize that? Well, memorialize what? Well, just go back here. Did you memorialize the way you're doing marketing? Okay, is it in a mind map? Did you many of you said database, okay? Fahad had a huge awakening at the conference, talking to, Anida, realizing he's got this piece of software, but he has no database management, no conversion plan. And he even mentions cleaning up lists. See, all of it becomes very clear that these are universally common to everybody in this group and beyond, even a brand new agent. These are common. These are common foundational pieces of the whole. Does that make sense to you now?
Yeah, it does.
So now you step back and say, you have a personal why you do anything, okay? Get in touch with it. It's not rocket science. State it in one tagline. That's your tagline. That's why you do anything. But now it becomes an entrepreneurial choice to be in this business. So now that core why you do anything has to be fit into this business. This business must allow you to live that. If not, it's a violation. If you can't be a person for others, in my case, in the context of Griffin Realty Group, it's over, which makes it wildly obvious to me that the expansion plan becomes the most important thing in my life, because that's the way that I can help more people the fastest. The more agents I can get, the more I can teach them to help their 3 friends a year. That's exponential help, not growth. Growth comes as a byproduct. But the very core of why I do it is now I can help more people. Now suddenly this stupid, simple model makes unbelievable, clear, concise sense to me, and I know exactly what I'm working on. So if I were to give you my top 5, it would be expansion. How about that? Right? And I'm saying it a little bit tongue in cheek, but I have to emphasize to myself that I'm able to clarify what I should be working on to grow. I know where I'm at in the continuum. I am 100% a leveraged individual agent through systems for marketing, through systems for follow-up, through systems for closing, and systems for past client. I have a system inside of every single one of those that coincides. I walk the walk, right? So my franchise model is based on systems inside each of the core modules to make this thing run. And they're not complicated. They might look at when I open up a mind map, or definitely when I open up Infusionsoft, but Infusionsoft is just a tool to help me differentiate buyer and seller and agent leads from buyer and seller and agent prospects, from buyer and agent and seller clients. That's it. It's just 3 stages in the conversion plan. It can get sophisticated and micro, sure, but it doesn't have to. You tracking me, Tanyel? So as I stare at this, Laura and I, especially together, since we've been working on it for so long, we're very proud and excited to come to the conference to say, hey guys, like we really have something in all these modules, from vision for the business and leadership to the 4 modules. Now we're looking at the build out of a much better measurement plan and expansion plan. So even though it works downwards in the model, its evolution is upwards in growth. Okay, because the more we measure, the more efficient we are, and the faster we can grow. We're not wasting money. See, waste of money, over expenditure in something, for example, like marketing, and then the inability to convert them fast enough chokes off the cash flow that could be going elsewhere. So it really becomes very clear when you stare at this stupid, simple infographic that you can have it all, but you have to stick to the yellow brick road by understanding this. Okay, comments about that from everybody. I expect everybody, especially those of you that didn't come on time and didn't chip in, comments here. I'm looking for comments. You got no comments. None of you.
I have comments.
Thank God somebody did. Holy moly. I'm sitting here in a cyclone, a bomb cyclone, and they can't even comment. I got Sonia, George, Eugene, my gang from Kentucky. I kicked you guys off. I want participation. Don't make me pull my own teeth.
Well, Danny, I always want to participate, but you always want to have people that haven't talked yet.
Well, I just want to hear different perspectives. I mean, everybody learns from the bleachers. That's not a mastermind. Thursday is mastermind. That means everybody's supposed to participate. Sonia, I'm calling you out.
Well, okay, call me out, and I'm going to admit I was at the gym longer than my normal time, so I got here late, and I just finally planted myself, so I kind of missed all that.
Okay.
I did hear about the list and cleaning up the list like we talked about on Tuesday, and
Well,
I have
let me give you
started on
context.
that.
Hold on. I'll give you
But
context.
that's about
Hold on. I'll give you context. It's easy. What are the top 5 things people are working on, and how does that relate to the model? Because if they don't have something to do with the model we're pursuing, then we need to debate that and talk about that. Why not? We're trying to keep everybody on track to growth, no matter where they are in that continuum, right? So I'll ask you, since you came in late with others, okay? Eugene, you can't go deaf mute on these calls. I'm going to be looking for you too. What are the top 5 things you're working on?
the top 5 things.
Yeah.
The number 1 thing is what we talked about on Tuesday is cleaning up my list.
Okay, good. Which is a database. So clean database. That's come
The
up.
database.
It's come up multiple
Correct.
times, and that is absolutely like critical inside of conversion and past client. 2 huge areas where a clean list of past clients and a cleaner list of who actually is a prospect or a client. Awesome. Give me a couple more, because that's very specific and you're doing a good job at that.
Well, the other thing that I'm working on is what we talked about, is going through my past clients, the one that I was hesitant to call because I have not been in touch with them in a very long time, some of them old ones from the close of escrow date.
Okay.
So that's another thing that I am personally working on.
Yep, keep going. Give me one more.
And then my other thing I'm working on is making sure I'm going to be doing open houses every weekend.
Okay, good. I like them all. I like them all. What I'm just trying to prove to everybody is that you're all doing a better job than you think you are by working on components of the business. You just need to know where they fit in and what you might be neglecting, right? I really haven't heard anything whacked out here that you shouldn't be working on or you're wasting your time doing, right? Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, who else wanted to speak up there? I heard a couple of people want to speak up.
Hey, Danny, I'll jump in.
Okay, George, hang on. Chris, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so looking for top 5 things we're working on. I think that's pretty clear. We're working on, it's mirrored what everyone else has said, cleanup of the database. I think really you just got to get down there and dirty yourself and do it. That's the revelation I've come to. You really can't, you can't delegate that out when you got 22 years of contacts and bloating and whatever else. So get down and doing it according to zip code, extracting those zip codes that we want to work in and we want more in, so we can get the newsletter out to them and get relevant mailings out to them. Other than that, I've got a new agent coming on board this weekend that I'm pretty excited about, but I'm working at channeling his energies and basically just giving him a more organized roadmap to follow. And then the third thing, which has been the big elephant in the room, is we're just really looking at and working on space. And that means in reference to clearing out this deadbeat property that's been vacant that you and I discussed, but also as far as our personal space is concerned, we worked a lot from home. We work a lot from home, and we had a second floor plumbing collapse the other day. So now we're like, yay, great. We something else we put off down the road, but we're gonna move. But we're thinking about, okay, let's move, and maybe we'll get a space in a versatile location that could be essentially an Airbnb for us, and then be converted to a depot for the business once we come back to our house, because the renovations we need to do in our house would not be comfortable to live around. We're not going to be able to function productively while living around them. So it's been a total paradigm shift. I mean, so today we're going to go out and look at some of these smaller, more modest homes that could be, that are sort of transitional but up and coming areas that could maybe become a new depot for the business, could be an Airbnb, could have that versatility. So
good.
That's quite a mouthful, but
it's okay. Stop. It's good. Stop. It's good. Because if you chunk it up, these are all the things that have to do with the development of a business. Okay. Let's go back and slow this down a little bit, and I'll give some more perspective here. I'm trying to get, like, this is what you would call, and I'm doing it differently this time, a best practices call, right? So watch what we do here when we go through this, right? Watch what we do here. I'm writing in my, by the way, I always tell you to have a pen and a 3-ring binder. I walk the walk. I mean, not 3-ring binder, a ringed binder. I'm here taking my notes vigorously, about what you're saying, what you're doing, because something transforms in my head when I write it. So watch this process, and I'm doing it transparently. This is you convincing yourself to stick to best practices as a business owner inside of this model that we just agreed on. Let me go back and first reiterate. If there's a challenge to the definition of a world-class real estate agent business, I want to hear you say it now, because I'm going to read it again. We believe as a group, a world-class, Michael Gerber's words, real estate agent business is a franchise prototype model based on scalable systems that create predictability and sustainability regardless of the circumstances. Do I hear anybody that wants to challenge that, tweak that, geek that, doesn't understand it, anything? Speak now. Okay. Hearing nothing, that's an agreement. Okay? That's an agreement. So as we sit there and we look at that in agreement, the next thing is you come back to what Gail was saying and Tanyelle. So why are we in this business is sort of a foundational thing. Okay. So here's what I would say is best practice. Define why you do anything, including in this business. What motivates you to get up every day and actually tolerate the people that you have to help in this business? Somewhere in there, I'll argue, is your why. So your first exercise is your why. Okay. Again, cheating to me, I'm going to put be a person for others. Okay. That's a demonstrative in my life. I'll demonstratively say that's a command, a self-command, self-leadership. In a second, I'll get there. Well, how? Okay. Systems. Okay. It has to be systems. Everything has to be systems. Well, what's a system? A checklist. Okay. That's how. So I fill that in next. Again, I'm just creating this business going down the list. Now, I'm going to put in, is there a problem, for example? Yes. Okay. There's a problem. What is it? Guidance or lack thereof. Solution. Okay. This is why businesses exist. Solution. Okay. The solution is the plan. And can it be unique? I'll put the word unique down there. Because we often, our brain, this is where our brain begins to get in the way. Well, you're not unique, you're not special, and all that crap. I'm just saying from a very, very objective standpoint, is it possible to come up with a unique solution? Okay. And then a big deal, which precedes the term list, is avatar. We so overlook this, we so underdo this, yet in our face are examples every day of obsession over avatar. You don't think so? Facebook, 5,000 to 7,000 points of data to define of variables on an avatar, right? So this really becomes a who. Okay, who needs this? So I've really gone down a very simple exercise for establishing a business. Why, as an entrepreneur, like, who are you? And maybe you need to go through a deeper exercise or listen to an audio book about the development of your own virtues and values, and, take inventory. For me, it just was easy. I just see this recurring theme and I put a tagline to it. And then I say, okay, I choose real estate. Why real estate? I'll insert that. Why real estate? There's so many things that I could do. Well, it's on the hierarchy of needs, right? I'm not interested in the food business. I'm not interested in the water business. Those are some of the basics, right? So let's go up to the next thing, shelter. It's right there. It's a human need. So I can help people with the number 2 on the hierarchy of needs, shelter. It's a pretty big deal. So I don't lose my connection mentally about helping people with their shelter. It's a big deal. See, you lose touch with that very quickly. Okay. So now these are all out of order, I think, or not in the best order. So I'll take them, I'll draw a line under this, and I'll come back to this and I'll go, why? Okay. Vehicle, I'll put that in.
Danny, your screen is frozen.
I'm not doing anything. I'm writing.
Oh.
I'm writing. It's okay, Gail. I'll take a picture of what I'm writing. And I'm saying it out loud. I hope you all have a pen and a paper. So I'm putting these things in order. Why? B. Okay. Vehicle. What business? Okay. Can I fulfill in? Hold on. What business? B is the vehicle. Who? And I think this becomes this avatar. Who can I help? Well, I think the people are going to be professionals, other people that are interested in this kind of thinking. So I'm just going to put professionals. And then I'll look at their problem. Lack of professional guidance. Okay. That's what they lack. They don't lack access to properties. Shit, that's the easiest thing in the world now. It's not a problem. Okay. Solution is really a simple set of plans. Okay. And let's see. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What'd I miss? And really the how is, this systematic approach. And I'll explain this, okay? All right. If you weren't tracking me there, here's what's just happened in 45 lousy minutes. 1, I forced you to quickly inventory what you're working on. Okay, because as technicians, you will work on shit all day long. That's what you will do, but you won't give it context. I'm trying to give it context. So now, through that conversation, after the inventory was taken, we start to see the development of a narrative of how you just determine what your business statement is. If you have to make a statement, it's that, well, I want to own this business because I want to be a person for others. And I figure real estate allows me to do that because I'm dealing with shelter. And the people I'd like to help the most are other fellow professionals who have a problem because they lack professional guidance. And my solution is to give them a simple set of plans. And I will do this systematically so I can help them. Like, see how easy that was? 45 minutes. 45 minutes. Now, Gail, because of that concision, because of that clarity, I'm able to go back and say, in that just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 almost bullet points, simplified, chunked up, no fat on the fillet, right? Okay, no fat. How do I come up with one tagline that explains this so that I have sort of a statement like a person for others, right? So it starts with kind of being in alignment with that person for others? Am I a company for others? Am I a real estate agency for others? Am I a real estate agency guidance company? You see what I'm saying, Tanyelle? Like, you don't have to make this esoteric. 45 minutes and I'm done. I'm not saying it will be easy to come up with a tagline. I'm not even saying the tagline's necessary. How about that? Once I know all this, now I just have to behave that way. That's what I was trying to say, Duran. I think that narrative reduced up to that simplicity begins to permeate the entirety of this. And watch, it tracks all three avatars: buyers, sellers, and agents. I really like my current batch of people taking the test because they all have a professional approach to things. I have, you know, when you really think about this, I mean, Kate's on here, Laura's here. They're very professional women. Like, they know how to dress properly. They know how to treat people properly. They know how to work on their business like professional. That's why those two women thrive inside of this company, because this environment is set up to allow them to thrive in that profession and grow in that professional context. If you think about the 5 people for me, Gail, that are taking the test, they also smack of that. Okay, I have one entrepreneur who runs her own grill cleaning company, who's an agent, new one. I have another gal who's working for a billionaire locally, running his business, taking the test. I have 3 young women who all are dying to become an expression of their professional inner selves, right? And they have been in the mode of being young wife, new mother, etc. So it starts to become very clear that these people have this way about them. Laura, do you want to, Kate, you might just be on Facebook, I don't know. Do either one of you want to weigh in on this vision for the business?
Yeah, sure. I'm all about vision lately. And I was thinking to myself when you were talking, you know, I've heard you say your company's, your drive in life is about being a person for others. And there was quite a few years in my, you know, being with the Griffin Realty Group that I went through a period of just downright hating people. Like, I was just angry and frustrated, and like, I didn't even really understand how you could say be a person for others, because I just looked at it differently. And I've been, I guess, like others have said, I've been working on myself a lot, probably within the last 6 months. And now I totally get it. I'm reading this other, or not reading, I'm listening to this other audiobook called Into the Magic Shop. And it really talks about visualization and manifestation, and how that really kind of sets you up for success. So a strong vision, having that strong idea and North Star is, although it may sound mushy and fluffy or however you want to label it, I've found in my experience that it's everything. Like, and I started it at a young age. When I was 23, when I started with Danny, my vision, my goal for myself was to be, you know, the best inside sales agent that the Griffin Realty Group ever had. And that was my North Star at the time. And I've surpassed that. You know, I'm not in that role anymore. So as I keep growing, my vision keeps growing. And then, you know, I have my other own vision for Arbonne. It's just like a vision for my family, for my marriage.
All right, so hold on. So you're chunking stuff up and lead us to the next thing. Okay, because look at, I think it's not, I don't know that it's esoteric at all. That if I'm going to be a person for others in the real estate business, I need to find professionals who have a lack of professional guidance, give them a set of plans, and do it systematically so I can serve more of them. That's extremely clear and practical. Next, Okay, who do I have to become? You're describing who you have to become. And we say this, nobody's coming for us all the time. So ultimately, the bottom line is when you look at it that way, now you say, okay, well, self-leadership. The biggest problem in this group with the mindset is lack of self-leadership. But it starts with not being able to articulate your own vision for the business. I just cheated you in 45 minutes and helped you have something. The only thing you probably have to get in touch with is your own why. You don't have to copy mine if you don't vibe with that. But if you need a why, Danielle, you're right. But it shouldn't take forever and it shouldn't be some big exercise. Why the hell do you do anything? Right? You ask yourself what kind of person you are, and there's the answer. The next thing is who? Okay, so you got this business vision, but who do you have to be to make that business vision grow? Like you're describing it, but who do you have to be? Do you have to work on your mindset stuff? Absolutely. Almost every morning, almost every day, you have to read books about mindset. You have to listen to podcasts about mindset. You have to listen to YouTube videos about mindset. Otherwise, your animal brain continues to shut down and steal you. So the world-class real estate agent business leader, which is everybody. If you're an inside sales agent, if you're an agent, you're leading your own book of business within a business. So for example, Laurie, you're within mine, Kate, you're within mine, but we have never ever said you're not supposed to be a leader. You were in the room with everybody. So you know we walk the walk, right? So what does that mean? Well, you're the chief executive officer of your book, your thing, and you're accountable to this intentional systems-based business that you are fearless in guiding through aggressive implementation and adaptive growth, which means, what the hell does that mean? That means, look, when you come back to the model and you say, all right, we got systems. And I know that we have a simple one for the vision in this business. I just have to insert me. I know that I have to become this tripolar person that understands entrepreneur, manager, technician balance, but I got to get to work. So I have three choices as a leader, you know, in marketing, three segments in marketing, 3 segments in conversion, an A through Z checklist in closing, and the stupidest, simplest positioning plan in past client. That's it. That's it. So see, simplifying this becomes very clear. All right, I'm going to be self-accountable. So now this leadership, so you have a vision thing, that's clear. We're done. Plug in you. The next thing is who you are or who it's necessary to be, instead of all, like we heard a lot of micro, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Great, wonderful, you know where you're at. But the question is, what did you do this week so far to make sure you were doing something inside the market that you want, to the person you want, to give them a message to list with you, okay, through the right media? See, you all make these weird choices that, well, wait a minute, if it's systematic, because let me go back to the definition. As a leader, I'm accountable to the very first thing, intentional systems-based business. Intentional systems-based business. Well, the first system turns out to be bone structured by Kennedy in strategic marketing. Where and who are they? Market. What the heck do I say to them? I look back up to the business vision. I got a plan, but maybe they're not going to fall for that easily. Maybe that's the upsell. Maybe that's the underlying demonstration. I'm going to struggle a little bit with that. And then upon which medium do I get them? So see, as a group, we've all said, well, wait a minute, let's protect each other. Let's not bullshit each other. Expireds exist in the market, and a lot of them are the who. In my case, professionals typically own. You call me prejudiced, you call me whatever you want. I'll call myself a smart marketer. Professionals typically own the home that is at or above the average. Okay? See how easy this becomes? Professionals, my who appreciate a strategic approach and plans, my solution, okay? They typically own inside my geography a house that's average or above. Doesn't have to be ultra luxury, just have to be average or above. They're more likely to resonate with my message of giving them guidance. And I can give them guidance immediately about what they want. So in other words, the message would be, why are you looking for yourself when you could use our concierge search service? In other words, we can give you properties that include souls, that include these other things. So even though we know you can easily get properties from Zillow, Redfin, and everybody else, our concierge way of doing that includes guidance. We will dig in. We will root out what's right for you. More importantly, we'll root out the souls. First message. Second message, sounds like you're going to do something inside of 12 months to list. You need my plan. Here it is. See how easy it becomes? Now I just have to ask myself, well, where does that medium, best serve me? What way do I get that message to them? The delivery truck. Well, duh, telemarketing. This is the fastest, most leveraged way to say, I saw you're in my marketplace. I'm guessing you're professional. I'm guessing you probably want to see what's sold around you. Okay. So I'd like to send that to you. And by the way, I'll give you a little bit of what I help my clients when they're really in the thick of it with what they need, a plan. And I'm doing this via two media. One, I'm telling you I'm going to do it. When I get your permission, I'm going to mail it. So telemarketing and direct mail become the obvious media. So see, there's no guessing. It is extremely formulaic. Then I move along the continuum. I draw another triangle. And I say the leads came to me through a service. I didn't need fancy opt-ins or anything. I just call up Vulcan or the Red X and I buy the contact information for the lead who is the professional in the marketplace and owns the right priced property. That's the best I can do with list segmentation, right? And then the telemarketing is the medium, or it also plays a role in conversion. You can look at it either way. It's bridging the gap from marketing because you're telemarketing the message, but it's kind of blended with the lead stage, hopefully so that it creates trash, get rid of them, there's no chance, or moves them up to prospect. Okay? And the whole concept of the power 20, let's start with 10, power 10 prospects. The idea is to get 10 seller prospects who are likely to do something, especially inside of 6 months. Okay? And then as I continue to really hyper-focus on the database systems, the systematic follow-up, the delivery of information, the frequency of calls that all matches, I can create a consistent, predictable flow of clients through that first definition of expired, which came up multiple times. If I want to go next, I go to probates, because a lot of those people can be identified as professionals quickly, and whether there's a house to sell at the right price or not. So very quickly, I have 2 lanes that I can travel in, and I can execute the 1-2 punch of the systematic approach without delay and without confusion. I just have to execute. So now 59 minutes into the call, I have walked through an extremely clear franchise prototype that if we're not all executing those basics, the simple question is, why not? If we're agreeing that that's probably an approximation of making the burgers and making the fries, meaning it's relevant to all of us. Some of you will argue, I don't have many expireds. Do every one of them that you do have. Do every probate that you do have. Why? Because it is a listings-based business. Why? Because it's an inventory-based, global marketplace called MLS. Why? Because that's the thing that people call shelter. Like, this is so logical, but you're just going to screw around with it and mess with it because you're the problem. I'm the problem. So the head stuff is not like this big deep dive shit. I don't know what's wrong with me. I do. You're not following this franchise prototype, because that would at least eliminate a lot of the other stuff. Now, clearly, if you have a head stuff problem that you are afraid to pick up the phone, I'm trying to make that even easier by saying, don't try to sell them. Stop listening to the idiots out there who train you to try to sell them. Be different. Give content that's helpful. That's in line with being a person for others. It makes it easy. It makes it clear. And people, turns out, they really like it. See how this again, I'm just going to go over this and over this and over this and over this to protect you from you and your inaccurate thinking. Because as a group, I'm very clear what you've helped me figure out. Okay, I'll stop there for discussion. Thoughts? I know I'm coming strong today because I feel passionately about this. I think I can really help you better if you get this. Thoughts about this?
Danny, just, I don't really have much.
Paul, go ahead. Paul, go ahead. Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want you to think I'm just sitting on the sidelines, but I agree with you. So I really have a lot to contribute. I'm listening, and it makes total sense to me.
Cool. Awesome. I mean, I'll take that. And, in your case, because you're already one of those guys who has the ability to kill it, telemarketing, 2 expireds, 2 probates, as the means become available to add them all, and including, the means to get agents, you already at the core technical part of your business are brilliant at phone calls. So the more time that you could spend telemarketing expireds, telemarketing agents, my gosh, you can't help but expand, right? Just can't help it. So, every day that goes by that as a technician, and you're doing a great job, you got a little mastermind group within this mastermind group, accountability on those calls, it really should be how many expireds did you call and get? How many probates did you call and get? How many agents? Everything else is secondary. Everything else. There is no buyer lead that even comes close to the importance of those 3 categories for you, in my opinion. So I think
the majority of my calls are to sellers.
Yeah. But again, internet sellers are also different from people that have context. They're different. If I'm interested in a home evaluation, I may. But if I have an expired listing, I already have. If somebody died, I might be in a panic as long as there's real estate. You know what I mean? So we're going down this continuum. I could make an argument that maybe a really good home evaluation offer to the right avatar through maybe a medium of postcards that goes directly in their home that they respond to. I could make an argument that maybe if you had enough data, you could prove to me that was better. But I would just caution that because I think we have to, exist in a reality state, right? And we don't. Go ahead. Come on.
I can say that we haven't done any seller online lead gen for probably a year and a half. So my time is split between calling expireds. I don't do probates. Calling expireds and calling the several hundreds of people who came in over the years who are prospects, people we've talked to, who are sellers, who when we first reach out to them, whether it be an editorial ad in one of the little papers or postcards or online lead, prime seller leads or whatever, they're in the database, and those are the ones I'm calling. That was a list of 628 that I started on the weekend or Monday. I think we talked about it. And I've got it down to 416 as of today. So if I can get through that list in the next week and a half, then I'll really be totally caught up on past prospects.
By the way, Paul, you're in line with what Egan said and what Sonia said. You're cleaning the list that you paid for, right? You're cleaning that, and I think that's really important, right? Now, one thing that I didn't go to, that I didn't hear a lot of leaning in on, is the cleaning of the past client list. I mean, most of you have been around long enough. I mean, other than Doug and Charlie and now George, who have all moved, it becomes a little bit more incumbent upon them to, start really hard work from scratch at the front end, developing new relationships. But for the rest of us that are still in these marketplaces where we have influence, the question is, how clean is your past client list? How quickly could you pull it if I came and audited your business? And how would you know that that's a good list? And then prove to me that you're sending out a simple, positioning piece like the market strategic newsletter update, and then getting into other layers. So that becomes the squeeze play to look at the 2 front pieces of marketing and conversion, and then to look at the accelerant piece. I would call strategic past client accelerant, who's likely to repeat and refer. And if there's no intentional system to help those people recognize you're still here, you don't even have to solicit them. You just have to make it clear that the lights are on. Gary Vaynerchuk's whole philosophy, Dean, you can weigh in on this, is that you just have to make it, people will figure out how to find you as long as you make it easy when they're ready, as long as you just are in front of them in the context that you have with them. So I think they squeeze, and that puts you right down the middle with this, closing plan, which I was talking to Oneida about. A lot of people just lay off their closing. They don't really work on it. I'm talking to Joe O'Connor and a couple other people about sitting down with the closing coordinators to make sure that that system in that module is so good, so tight that they know we love them in the thick of the stormy moment. So we birth the best past client who can't wait to give you a 5-star Google review, who can't wait to tell their friends and family. That's how this works, right? Other thoughts, other questions?
Simple action plans make things less esoteric and more concrete.
100%. Quiets the noise, Chris. Quiets the noise.
What's that?
It quiets the noise.
Yep.
That's why what I drew, I will take a picture of what I drew and I will just post it in the group. I want you to see, I really walk the walk here, simplifying things in my head. I love doing these calls with you guys because it forces me to work on my business to quiet the noise, to come up with these simple steps, right? It's what it is. I mean, I went through and we did this. You'll see this campfire is a week from this afternoon, and I will be ready because I took a whiteboard with Laura and she was my audience, and we beat on the model for new agent. Like we really did the same exercise to them. You're going to see that if you go micro into an expansion module, you begin to think about, well, who is this avatar? Who is this person? And why? How do they fit the suit as people for others that would appreciate that we give them systems? We give them the guidance about those systems, right? That they see our solution as unique. Then it's not all this nonsense about downlines or being bought or some bullshit marketing offer. We become unique and we attract the right people. I was talking to a buddy of mine's son the other day, and I can tell this kid just is not hearing me. So I'm not pursuing him. I'll help him as a friend, but I'm not pursuing him. He's just the wrong person. So I know how simple this is. You don't hear me, I can't help you, but I ain't going anywhere. So I'll be here when you finally beat your head against the ground. And that's why men are not my avatar when it comes to recruiting. In expansion mode, they're not even on there. I am not targeting men. If they come to me and they fit the bill, wonderful. But I would not spend a nickel trying to recruit a man right now. Sorry, dudes. It ain't happening. Ain't happening.
So with the spirit of that in mind, what would you say would be the most simple, universal elevator speech offer for a seller, for an agent, or a buyer that we should be promoting on a daily basis to our target avatar via whatever medium is?
You will struggle without following a plan, and I have one to give you.
What?
You will struggle without following a plan, and I have one to give you. You will struggle without following a plan, and I have one to give you. I was almost really exasperated for this kid, right? Saying to myself, my gosh, you just can't help people that just don't know what they don't know. Guys have so much testosterone running through the head. I applaud every guy in this group that hangs with this body of work, because most of the time that doesn't work because their testosterone is so strong that it's got to be their idea every time. By the way, all these ideas are yours. I talk to you all. You all contribute. This is a body of work that grows upon itself. Distinctions that come from guys and gals in this group. So this works. Like this works, but we have to recognize, look, if I could make a dichotomy of struggle for the guys and gals in this group, the gals struggle with the self-esteem much more than the guys do. And the guys struggle with the self-discipline much more, right? Sort of a universal thing I've learned as a coach. So you recognize that the dudes will be all over the place, soup du jour, soup du jour, soup du jour, shiny du jour, right? They're all over the place. And the gals will be like, am I worthy of this? Who am I? They get that imposter syndrome. So I think you can even simplify the head stuff, Chris, and you can see what gets in the way. And as I say that, you recognize that in yourself, I'm sure, right? There's got to be something that you're missing, right? It's got to be. Couldn't be this simple, says your brain. Couldn't be. It's got to be something you're missing.
Completely.
So
and that's even why sometimes in the heat of the moment, I'll even have to reel myself back in. I've been doing this for so long to not oversell and to not hit the person I want to be in conversation with too much. So that's why I was saying, most chunk down, simple offer. And I think what you gave, that you will struggle without a plan, I wanted to give you. really ultimately is the offer for sellers, agents, buyers, everybody. It's just how you even articulate that to where it enters their conversation going on in their head and prompts them to respond.
100%. They can't really articulate it because they don't know what they need necessarily. So Gerber said to me when we were talking, you don't know what you don't know. And I thought that was a very profound, simple statement. So you have to look at your avatar, and the fact that like I've cheated towards professional is that even though they don't know what they don't know, the minute they hear me professionally articulate a problem that they probably do have, they recognize, oh my gosh, you know me. How did you know? Right? Whereas somebody who is non-professional, who's never studied anything, is not necessarily a studied background, I struggle with them because they tend to make decisions much more emotionally, whether they purely like me or not. I think it's great if you like me. I think that's great. It's convenient. But I think you better like see that I am the port in the storm that you're about to enter. I'm the battle-tested, boat that's going to take you through. And I want you to see that. So it becomes really, really clear that I need a professional to recognize a professionally built system. And that's why I say I don't think you have to be gratuitous in expressing it. Well, we're the only ones with a plan. There's that defensive voice in us, right? Just say, hey, look, it looks like you're thinking about selling in the next 12 months. What I'd like to do is send you over the plan that I use with my clients. I think it'll give you some guidance along the way, with or without me. There's no obligation. See, that's where the words no obligation really come from, is a true mentality that, look, I have a plan. You're most likely not going to be able to navigate this, with my plan even, but it's better that at least I give this to you, or you're just going to drown quickly. Market's tough. You're going to get something screwed up in here. Do me a favor, humor me, read my plan, and then give it to your sister who's your agent and let her help you. So now I'm saying, well, why would I keep doing that when Duran and I have some interesting conversations? His theory is that 50% of the time, you're not winning anyway. Sally's friend, even though she just got her license yesterday, or in my case, Lauren's sister, is not going to buy through anybody but her. No matter that Danny was their neighbor for 12 years, no matter that I've been the family realtor, the minute Lauren went to get her license, her sister put all purchase on hold and she becomes her client. So I love the fact that I have partnership with Lauren where I can tell Lauren, like today in the Griffin Realty Group, how to take the simple buyer's plan, have her sister sit still, have her walk through that buyer plan with her, explain what's going to happen, get her pre-approved with Julie as step number 1. Okay. I'm going to be a representative. You're going to get pre-approved first. We're going to know what the money can buy. Then we're going to match that up with the features online. See what I'm saying, Chris? It becomes that extension of this simplicity. So all we have to do is go back to who do we know or don't know that has context to do this so that we can get them going with what they're interested in, sales, but then quickly introduce them, say, look, it's one thing to go on Zillow and Redfin and all these things and look at properties. It's another thing to go through this process correctly. Keep doing that because I know it's convenient and fun. I'm going to tell you right now, that may or may not be accurate information to begin with. I know you don't know that. So the accurate information actually comes from MLS. So if really that's all you want right now, why don't I just simply add you to the back end of my MLS so at least you can compare the data. Are you getting the right data on Zillow that you could get through me, including solds that shows you what the money's buying? Would you buy that or not? See, that's a demonstration of professional guidance through a system. So see, everything becomes this consistent rhythm that I keep falling back on and I keep, espousing to all the people that would join me. And that's not easy. So I have to have that very particular avatar, for example, when I go into my expansion mode or I go into a seller's house. If they don't get the approach and they don't appreciate it, it's a tough grind, Chris. But every time you go in there and you cheat it because you're insecure, you're lazy, you procrastinate, and you don't go back and hold yourself against the standard. Look, here's the standard. A chief executive officer is accountable to this intentional systems-based business. In other words, if you're the CEO of yourself and you go out as the technician and you don't bring with you a clear package when you open it up, there's a formula inside. Okay. There's the market update for Kentucky, right? There's the infographic for selling. And then on the other side, there's the CMA that really refines the math. And you don't go through this formula of thanks for having me. Let's take the nickel tour. You size up the condition and who they are, sit down across from them eye to eye, ask them before I get started, just reiterate to me, how come you're selling this? What's the motivation to do this? Reiterate that this is for real. Go through the 7 steps. Is there anything I didn't cover that's important to you? Root out that. And then try to find out whether they're ready to go today or there's follow-up that's needed. Put them into the appropriate, intense follow-up where you maintain relationship and block out everybody else. That's a formula, Chris. So are you accountable to that? I'd ask myself that. Was I walking in these listing presentations and still trying to do Danny? Or was I looking at my internal team between now, Autumn, with Laura and saying, look, don't ever send me out there without the seller qualifying questionnaire because I'm accountable to that piece of the system. Don't ever send me out without the black folder exactly the way that I've talked to you about it. Don't ever do that to me. In fact, don't ever send me out to an open house with precisely what we say. We make everything a system that I help dictate and create, co-create with my team and all of you. But then as a leader, I better hold myself accountable to doing it that way or the whole thing collapses in on itself. You got it?
Yeah, completely.
But see, for example, we're going into a weekend. I didn't know my schedule. Turns out I don't have hockey until 5:30. I have a buyer in the field. We have a very particular way that we will go out there. There will be some, a first class package, black, cover letter, all this stuff put together for him. So we give him the experience his wife has already had. So he feels, wow, these guys just don't sound well on the phone. They are great in the field. And he has that experience. I flew in the red eye. I looked at these 4. I jumped on it and went to Singapore. Professionals, they love it. We got this thing on grease skids, but then immediately the implementation, I cannot let another weekend go. What is the next most important sell opportunity listing that I have to go in and show my seller at a high end? So I've got a 1-3. I might go in there and bang that again. Okay. Got to look at what I have in inventory. Have to get my agents out there and we will execute the open house plan, which at bare minimum will demonstrate to our seller who already bet on our systems, it'll demonstrate to them we walk the walk. So you're like, none of what I do week to week in Griffin is outside of the systems. If I make a tweak to the system, it's because I'm in it. But none of it is outside of the system. Everything is in there. So that when I couldn't go, Laura picked up the black package, went to the house, did the exact same presentation. The guy was definitely going to list with her, but he sold to a home investors guy instead for convenience. But there was no other competition because somewhere out there, Laura, by the way, how did that guy find us?
We sold his neighbor's house a couple years ago.
So there you go. So he saw action there. He saw us systematically do something. The neighbors probably said something, nice about it. So we got invited in. She followed a system without me. He really said yes. Unfortunately, he had a more convenient thing, which was less stress for him, and he went with it. And we're not in the wholesale business, so good for him. Okay? So that's a system that now does what? Go back to what we had the first thing. It's scaled. It's scaled, and my time leveraged. It scaled, and my time leveraged. I was somewhere else doing something else, leveraging time, and Laura is able to now step into that role where she's grown now. Her self-esteem is up. She's able to do this. And Autumn's able to have a job created or an opportunity created for her because we're moving up. That's what scalability looks like, but it's all based on sticking to the yellow brick road. Laura will tell you, every time she and I, don't stick to the exact system, inevitably something goes awry. Almost every time. Laura, yeah, you want to weigh in on that piece of it?
Oh, yeah.
Every time, right?
And then we kick ourselves.
Yeah, and we've stopped blaming Chris, the avatar. We stopped blaming them because we used to do, he's such a jerk. And the truth is, he's not a jerk. He's calling us out. Maybe he is a jerk, maybe he isn't. But he's calling us out, and it makes us look at the system and say, where did we cheat, or what didn't we know? Thank you, Michael Gerber. What didn't we know? What didn't we expect that's not in our system? Can we tweak the system from the feedback of what just went awry, the negative feedback like Maltz talks about? Now, I'm going to plant this seed going into the next practical thing with marketing. You see, if I just follow what I just did, so very simply put, I've got a franchise prototype that's built around systems. I've got a leader that better keep himself and everybody else accountable to following a systematic approach. That's it. Those two things. Then I drop into the real managed manufacturing level. So up here, I've got this visionary stuff that somebody's got to define it and hold everybody accountable to it. That's you, that's me. But then I drop down into a more pragmatic place where marketing becomes this thing that everybody has to do to find people they don't know. Not the back end marketing to past clients. Yes, there's some marketing throughout the entirety of manufacturing relationships. But at the front end, this is where the business says, look, if you're going to be a real business, you must and always do business with people you don't know. It's called new business development. You've heard it forever. That's what this is. Strategic marketing on the very front end of the model is new business development. Okay? Now, to be strategic about that, you've got to go back up and start to put numbers to this vision. Well, what is a decent business target? Gross commission income wise, what's reasonable and a little bit stretched for me? So you come back there and now we start to get pragmatic. This is where the mind map becomes very practical. Now we're in the marketplace called MLS looking at what people are approximating more so than we are world-class based simply on their performance. Because the world perceives those people as the most world-class, the most professional, and I got to pick a fight, and I got to close that gap. So now I go in there and I simply say, which couple companies and which couple agents, okay, have the best financial result that I can see from MLS? And I just simply look at that, and I say, well, that's the bare minimum, because that's where world-class is, and then there's something beyond it. Sure, but let's at least set it at the top of MLS and begin to close the gap. So a financial goal gets introduced in marketing for the very first time, because the only reason for marketing is to get people we don't know to consummate deals that drive commissions that get us to the financial goal. Otherwise, marketing has no use. It has no direction. It has to be tied to that financial goal. And that's what helps you now say, okay, so we got this financial GCI goal. And we can look at what these guys and gals did and what their average sale is at the higher end. And my gosh, it turns out that they're up there. So to close the gap, I'm going to start at average and up to where they're at. And that'll help me. But I better get clear about who the types of people that are a little bit below maybe where the top guys are, and then right up to where they are. That's an ideal client image. And then I got to come up with a message that competes with those guys. And then I got to be financially responsible. I can't just start spending wild money that takes me away from the avatar, out of the market, away from professionals, and that's enter your sinks, your market leaders. All that crap was contrary to what was better strategy being executed by your competitors. You can see it clearly now because you're just making it financially responsible. You're saying, well, how does doing sync get me listings inside the marketplace that get me brand, that get me to express the brand, show people I'm good at getting inventory and attracting buyers directly to me? So see, now marketing becomes extremely clear. There's only one reason for it. It's to hit these financial goals and to chase the world-class performers or the people closest to it in my marketplace. So it becomes extremely clear. And most of those people have a tremendous command over listings. Duh. So now instead of falling away and making these stupid media decisions about marketing, we're like, why in the world are we going and spending thousands of dollars on a platform to get internet buyers when right in front of our face, these very performers are tripping over themselves and they're losing world-class listings that are average or above in my marketplace. Why can't I come in and immediately compete with them, even based on their failures? Just becomes insanely stupid simple when you just see all this strategically, okay? So there's the teaser for that, and we can pick up there next week. But I just have to say, this booklet is no joke, folks. This booklet is the plan. It's your plan to run a business, but you have to understand it, and it's on me to bring it up like this each time, and we'll fix it. I just took a crack at fixing, some of the practical stuff, but Chris, I can't arrive in 90 minutes, which is what I just sprinted through with all your help up front, taking inventory. What the hell are you working on? Because if it's not in this order, then it's out of order. Does that make sense?
If it's not in what order, meaning going from market to avatar to message, getting back to
all of it. All of it. Do you have a vision for this this Egan Realty Group? No. You don't. You don't really know, like Tanyel said, why you do this. You don't know why you chose real estate, right? You don't really know how with your systems and checklists. When I say you don't know that stuff, you're not attached to that. I know you. You're not. You're not. So I'm saying if you don't go through those immutable steps, like you're not going to get away from thinking about those things and getting some simple formula. You're just not. You don't arrive at marketing the right way. You just snap right back to doing it randomly and not intentionally. And you know what random means, right? You got a hobby, bud.
Mm-hmm.
Got a hobby. Got a hobby. And you wake up 10 years from now, still a hobby. Final comments. I know I'm on fire today.
Yeah.
It's because I almost drowned last night in my own bed. So here I am. I survived. I will repeat, I survived. I love the word too. Doesn't it sound like awesome? A bomb cyclone. A bomb. The pressure drops within 24 hours to create a certain atmospheric reaction that drops a bomb. I like that. I survived that last night.
Damn.
It's pretty cool, huh?
Was that your dream?
No, that was real. We lost one car, I think. The car got flooded. The house didn't. Me and Mr. Luigi survived just fine. Christy was home. The Princess and the Pea was going to sleep right through it. Had to wake her up for all the excitement.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, Google it.
Amazing.
Bomb cyclone hits Cape Cod.
Damn, and our kitchen ceiling just collapsed from a plumbing leak.
Yeah, you thought you had shit going on. Yeah, we have acts of God out here. You have little technical issues. Yeah.
Hey, we get tornadoes.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, call Grant Cardone. We like to 10x our catastrophes just to see what we're made of. So.
Well, motivation is, sometimes this is a motivating force. Really, you ask me where I'm coming from today. It's, we're coming from getting ready to go out and buy a house and move ourselves around and do stuff that we've been bullshitting about doing for years, but in absence of needing to do the plumbing because, hey, look at that, it's caved in.
Yeah.
We may just continue talking about it.
Yeah. Right. Well, Chris, you bring up a good thing. I'll leave everybody with this thought. What pulls us through to something better? What pulls us through to something better? I think everybody, you wouldn't be around this body of work if you didn't want something better. So the simple question is, what pulls you through to it? Right? It's a challenge. It is. It's a challenge, and against you every day. And a lot of people have been around a long time. I hear a lot of people in the group on the one-on-one say, they question whether they want to be in this business or that business or what am I doing? And well, what you're doing is sort of spinning. And I think what you'd feel really good about is stop all that whining and pull yourself through to a better version of what you have for a business. And I think that would make you feel good, and it would open up other opportunities. It would. All right, listen, sales training tomorrow is no campfire this week. We are, next week, we continue our bi-weekly, and because I wanted some time to kind of work through this type of stuff. to simplify that, and really with the intent that goes very, very basic for all of us as individual producers and our new people to really, really hammer away, really down to that agent basic, what we're just not doing. We've touched upon some of it today, but we touched upon it in the context of a business. You got to get some clarity here, okay? You got to get some clarity. You got to clarify why you're doing this, sure, but very quickly, like real estate's a need. How you do it is through checklists. The problem is people lack guidance. The solution is your plan, which is unique, that you even think of one. And then you just got to find out who needs this on the listing side. You start there, and everything else starts to follow, okay? I'll share that. I'm going to take a picture of it and put it up now after I stop the video. So I'll see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Good work today. These are never easy, this call.
Thanks, Danny.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Good work.
Thank you, Danny.
You're welcome, Sandra.